Hey YouTube, it's Casual Brews here with my Week 12 NFL preview and picks. Coming off a really good week last week where I went 22-8 in my picks, which was nice because the previous 2 weeks I was really bad. So see if I can keep the ball rolling. It's Thursday morning. I made these picks Tuesday night. Just kind of finding the time now to do the video. Happy Thanksgiving to all the Americans out there. Had a bit of a bedhead waking up this morning, so I'm wearing my free from the beer store New England Patriots retro hat. I don't know, just thought it would be kind of neat to throw it on Thanksgiving here. Yeah, so we'll get right into it. The game coming up shortly here this morning is the Bears -3 at Detroit. Jared Goff will play. When I was making these picks, he was questionable, but it looked like he was on track to play. So I kind of made the pick with that in mind. I still like the Bears in this one. Coming off a couple tough losses back to back, Steelers, Ravens. They really were in both games. Could have won, obviously, against the backup quarterback last game. I don't know. I think they got a lot of fight. The Lions sometimes show they have fight, but they've kind of followed up a close loss with a blowout loss sometimes this year. Bears aren't going to blow anyone out, but I like the Bears to cover this spread and have a good bounce back game off of a couple, tough losses that they can maybe build off of. So I like the Bears -3, but it's two pretty bad teams overall, so it could really go either way. But I like the Bears here, and I like the under 41.5. Early Thursday morning game, really quick turnaround for both teams. Generally, that leads to sloppy play. Probably not a lot of good sustained drives on either side. It's going to be a low-scoring game, I think. So I got under 41.5. It might have gone down since then. I don't know, but as of Tuesday night, that's what I locked it in as. Next up, we got Vegas Raiders 7.5-point underdogs at Dallas. Both teams coming off losses. Neither team really looked that good in them. Raiders off a nice 2 or 3 win streak. Post Gruden, have kind of fallen back to earth a little bit. Not playing so well right now. Just watching them, they look pretty discombobulated on offense. I think Dallas, I like better to bounce back and kind of show more of the Cowboys team that we saw, throughout most of the year, winning in impressive fashion. They do have injuries. Both Cooper and Lamb are going to be out. That's a tough one, but I still think the receiving corps is pretty decent overall. Obviously, you still have Gallup, Noah Brown, although he had a couple of bad drops last game. That kid Wilson, Cedric Wilson, I think, right? He's really good too, I think. Tight ends, running game, Zeke's banged up, but if he's good to go, him and Pollard are a good 1-2 punch. And I just like Dak to kind of pull this one out. The 7.5 makes me a little nervous. I wish it was under a touchdown, but I think Dallas could still have a good bounce back. Raiders just look bad on both sides of the ball, really, right now. So I like Dallas, just eye test. But again, I wish it was a smaller spread. And then I like the under 50.5 as well here. Unders have been overall hitting this year. I got a bit of a trend going last week on the unders. Worked for me. I'm going to kind of ride with it again until I see a line that wants me to go otherwise. Again, Thursday games generally I feel like are low scoring unless they get really crazy out of hand. Turnovers, this and that. I don't know. Dallas' defense is just playing pretty well overall. And Raiders' offense is not playing well, so I think this goes under. Next up, we got the Bills -6 at New Orleans. The Thursday night capper for the Thanksgiving slate. Both teams really need this badly, honestly. Bills kind of look out of sorts the last few weeks after a really good start to the season. Their defense has kind of been shaky all year, but their offense has kind of been able to carry them, but their offense has kind of hit a lull lately, so they need to get things going, and it's a tough matchup against the Saints. The Saints defense, I think, is still pretty good, but they kind of all of a sudden start letting up points here and there, especially later in games, so I don't know. I think the Bills need this bad. The Saints obviously do too, but I just think they're limited with, without a real bona fide starting quarterback. I like the Bills' defense to come to play here, because the times they've got a shutout on their resume. They've had some flashes. They get turnovers. They don't necessarily do well overall, but they do get turnovers. They get stops at times when they need to. I don't know, I like the Bills in a bounce back spot here on the road at the Saints, and I like, once again, the under 45.5. I just don't think the Saints offense is just inconsistent. I still don't think the Bills offense will come all the way back into form here, but I think they'll do enough to cover their spread. But I think the under 45.5 hits here. Next up, we got Pittsburgh plus 4.5 on the road at Cincinnati. Start of the Sunday slate. It was a tough one. I mean, Cincinnati coming off an impressive win, Pittsburgh coming off a tough loss. This is a hard one, but I just feel like, if anything, just so I can have a few underdogs, like I was kind of liking the favorites overall this week, but just the way it always works out, some underdogs pull through, and I just think Pittsburgh is a spot coming off close. They could have won that game against the Chargers, one defensive breakdown away from having an epic comeback and winning that game. So I like Pittsburgh to cover 4.5. They may lose by a field goal again, or lose by 4 or whatever, but I think Pittsburgh can at least cover here. So give me Pittsburgh plus 4.5 and another under 45. I'm just keeping them rolling when I like them. I'm not gonna overthink it and be like, well, maybe Cincinnati's offense, this and that. Pittsburgh's defense, although banged up, I think it's gonna bounce back here. Cincinnati's defense has been playing pretty well all year too, so I like another under. Next up, we got the Bucks -3 at the Colts. Bucks coming off an impressive win. It's the Giants, but Giants have played team stuff all year for the most part. So I consider that an impressive win, blowing them out, covering a big spread. I've been liking the Colts all year. I could see them winning this game and being really on a roll, but I feel like the Bucks coming off that performance, getting the ball rolling. Brady looks good, obviously. Run game, their defense is kind of coming back around after a slow start. Getting guys healthy again has been big for them in the secondary. So I like the Colts to cover, I like the Bucks to cover. Bucks to cover -3. I could totally see the Colts still winning this game and screwing that bet up, but I don't know. I like the Bucks off their win. They look good, just eye test. Colts look good too, but I just think the Bucks kind of finding their rhythm, and like a Tom Brady team often does, start a little slow like the Bucks did last year too, and then just get on a roll late in the season. So it's late in the season, it's week 12. I like the Bucks here, rounding into form, covering -3. And I actually like, again, this one was almost like, this is my first pick so far where it was like, it seems like a high total, so you want to go under, but I don't know. These two offenses can really move the ball. The Bucks kind of can be susceptible to the run, as well as the pass at times. I don't know. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. Colts kind of live off of running and deep passes. I think Tampa Bay could be had with the odd deep ball, and I think Brady's just in good command of the offense right now. They're going to score a lot of points, and I like the over 52 here. So the first over pick of the day. Could see it being something like 31-27 Bucks here. Give me Bucks in the over. Next up, we got Titans 6.5 point underdogs at the Patriots. I've been saying the Patriots have been rolling. I like how they look. Obviously, they're leading that division. They'll probably finish the year winning it, AFC East again. But I think Titans really need. They could see the writing on the wall a little bit. Their offense has been sluggish without Henry. Defense is kind of holding up okay, but I think they really need to win badly here. I'm not saying they will win, but I just think 6.5 points. Patriots, I don't know. Like, they've played they've played pretty well a lot of the year, but they are used to playing close games. They get in, they play a lot of close games. And I think this will be another one of them. Could definitely see New England winning this game, but I just think 6.5 is a little much. I think the line's actually gone up to 7 now when I looked this morning. So there's some money being put on the Titans, obviously, here. And yeah, I like the Titans, even though they don't look great, especially offensively. I just think they bounce back well off of a loss, generally. So I like Titans to put up a better effort here against the Patriots. Big game. They won 5 straight big games against playoff teams and had the letdown against Houston. And I think now with New England, a lot of history there between Vrabel and Belichick. You look back to the playoff game and this and that. And so, yeah, I think Titans bounce back here and at least cover 6.5 here. Probably don't win. Like I said, I think the loss of Derrick Henry really hurt. The loss of Julio Jones really hurt. Puts a lot of pressure on A.J. Brown, and he's been banged up too. I think he might even be questionable to play, but I don't know. I just think they'll, just coaching-wise, I think they'll figure out a way to keep this game close. And another weird pick, I don't know why I added my gut, but I like the over 44.5. I could see some turnovers happening in this game, potentially. Mac Jones is still a rookie. He might make the odd mistake here and there. And Tannehill is coming off a game where he threw 4 interceptions, so maybe he throws a pick in his own territory, and that kind of sparks some points. Tennessee, although their defense isn't great, they can get turnovers too, which generally leads to points. So, yeah, I just like a weird 44.5. These two offenses scream under, but I don't know. I just have a feeling about this game. I just have a hunch. So, over 44.5 for this one. Next up, we got Carolina -2 at Miami. Two kind of mediocre teams, not bad, not good by any stretch. Just the way each team looks, it looked like Miami's playing better overall. Carolina had their big win against Arizona, Colt McCoy, but overall they've kind of looked pedestrian most of the year. Yeah, I like the way Miami, just eye test, I like Miami right now. The way they look, their defense is playing really well, and they're moving the ball enough, scoring points when they need to. So, yeah, I like Miami +2 here, and I like a low under 42. Just both defenses are pretty good, honestly. Carolina, especially in the secondary, is good. It's going to be an ugly, grinded-out game. Miami plays a lot of those. I feel like they probably go under. If you were to look, I don't know what, just from off of memory, I feel like they go under most of the time in their games. These two teams just scream like 17-13. So I like Miami plus the under. +2 for Miami. Next, we got Eagles -3 at the New York Giants. Eagles have kind of screwed me this year. I think every time they won, I feel like I haven't bet them. So, I don't know. I watched the Giants. They didn't look good on that Monday nighter. Philly coming to town only -3 just seems like the obvious pick. I do feel like Philly's still susceptible to have a bad game here and there, a letdown game. But they have a good formula. They're running the ball really well. Hurts is, I think, playing better than people expected. They got all those draft picks, three first-round picks. It was kind of given that they would take a quarterback, but do they now? I mean, if Hurts looks this good with this roster that's still got some holes in it, you figure he'll look even better with, 3 first-round picks on the team. Maybe get him an offensive lineman, another receiver, and then a corner or something, or a pass rusher probably. I don't know. Eagles could have something building here. They look pretty solid, so I feel like taking them -3 here is an easy pick, so I'll take it. And then another under 46. I just didn't like the Giants' offense. Philly can score, so it does scare me a little bit. And then maybe the Giants could score in garbage time, but I kind of like the under here just based off of the Giants' offense just looked bad against the Bucs team that's got a pretty good defense historically lately, but not so much this year. So I don't know. I like the under here, especially Philly can run the ball, eat clock. It's a recipe for an under. So Philly -3, under 46 for that game. Next, we have the Falcons -1 at Jacksonville. Geez, another matchup of two bad teams that just from watching the games, Falcons look a little better. Matt Ryan, some of the veterans on that team got a lot of pride, I'm sure. Not gonna want to give up on the season as much as maybe the Jaguars would. I don't know. I think that the Falcons can pull that out. The Jaguars just stink. That game against the Bills is going to be like the head scratcher of the year because other than that, they've looked terrible. So, yeah, take Atlanta -1. And then under 46, just two offenses that struggle. Jacksonville's defense still playing kind of feisty. And then, obviously, notwithstanding the blowout against Dallas, Atlanta's defense looks okay at times too. So, another under. It's just until they make these lines lower, I just can just picture these scores in my head, like an under 46 makes sense here. So I'll take that. Next up, the Jets, New York Jets, +2.5 at Houston. I mean, two bad teams again. What can you say? Just like the way Houston's looked a little bit more without Zach Wilson, even though it's not like he's really much better. I just like the way Houston's looked lately. They kind of, with Tyrod Taylor back, I just feel like he's got a bit better of a command of their offense. Make some things happen. I think they can win this game by at least a field goal over the Jets, so I'll take Houston -2.5 here. Just two bad teams. One, Texans I just feel like aren't quite as bad, so I'll take the Texans and I'll take another under 44.5. Two bad teams come together. It just often leads to not a lot of scoring. Does worry me a bit. The Jets defense has been really bad all year. Texans defense has been okay. I just think these two bad teams is just a recipe for an under. So give me Houston and the under in this game. Next we got Chargers -3 at Denver. I don't know. I wanted to watch the Chargers and be like, that's the team I remember from earlier this season. Offensively, I sure did, but their defense is just so bad. It's really bad. If they didn't have Joey Bosa, I couldn't even imagine. I mean, he's really all they got on defense. They really miss, what's his name? The guy who went to the Raiders in the free agency. They miss him for some reason. Casey Hayward, yeah, they miss him a lot. He's had a really good year. The lone bright spot on that Raiders team on defense. In the secondary, at least, they got good pass rushers, but yeah, they miss him because their secondary's bad, their linebackers are bad. Joey Bosa is like really the only bright spot on that defense. So yeah, I don't know. I just think Denver +3 at least. I'm gonna go with it, honestly. Just Chargers defense, I don't know, and Denver's defense has been mostly pretty good this year. Chargers have been kind of hot and cold on offense too. They don't seem to string together back-to-back good games on offense. I think they'll have a lull here. Divisional game, it's always tough. I like the Broncos +3 and maybe even to win this game, honestly. Just Chargers, Jekyll and Hyde, I feel like if their offense plays good, their defense doesn't, and vice versa. So I like Denver +3 and over 47.5. Again, just Chargers defense not very good. Denver at times can string some points together. Bridgewater at times has looked serviceable, and the receivers are good, the run game's good. I think they'll probably put up in the mid-20s points, and then Chargers offense is still good enough. They'll, I think, pull their end of the bargain for this over. I have so many unders this week. I got to find some overs to kind of balance it out a little bit. So give me Denver and the over. Next up, we got Green Bay -1 at home against the Rams. I think Rams are actually now -1, but whatever. Basically a pick 'em, right? So, I like Green Bay -1. Just bounce back spot after a loss, tough loss. Rams, I'm not sure what to make of them really. I mean, losing Robert Woods obviously really hurt. Odell is not going to fill that void, at least not right away. I think Green Bay better on overall. Rams defense still good, at least they got good pieces, but overall I don't know how good of a unit they really are. I just like Green Bay to pull this out. I just think they're overall the better team. They're going to be fired up for a big game, coming off a loss. I like them pretty soundly here, honestly. And then I like the under 48 in this one. I don't love it because, I mean, you look at these two quarterbacks, two of the better quarterbacks in the league. You would think points are going to be scored, but both teams have good defenses too. I just think it's going to be kind of hard. It's going to be cold. I just think it's going to be maybe, I think both defenses can limit the explosive plays, force the other ones into, force teams into the longer drives. I think the under squeaks by here. If I had to predict a score, I'd say Green Bay 23-21, maybe 23-20, something like that for Green Bay. So Green Bay and then another under 48. Next up, we got Vikings +3 going to San Francisco. I don't know, bucking a trend that I was on earlier in the year when I was just fading the hell out of the Niners, but I hate to say it, they look pretty good now. They got the formula going, and they've always had the potential. It's just they overthink things. They don't run the kind of offense they should, this and that. Defense at times doesn't play well, but just eye test, they look better the last couple weeks. So Minnesota, it's been very Jekyll and Hyde, win-loss, win-loss. They can't seem to string anything, can't seem to string like a good stretch of games together. I like the Niners to keep it rolling here, sadly. Seahawks season's over anyways, like no point in rooting for them to lose. So, yeah, I like the Niners to cover -3. Keep the ball rolling. Minnesota, I don't know. They looked good last week, but whenever I think, oh, they look good, and I pick them, they lay an egg like they did, against Dallas, for example, was the worst one. So I like the Niners -3, and I like the over in this one, 48. Two offenses that can score. Niners, good run game, and they found some things that work in the passing game too. Deebo Samuel, Kittle, both very big weapons. They can score fast too, even though they're a run-based team. They do a lot of no huddle. They score quickly. Minnesota's kind of the same way. Explosive plays are their specialty, and they can also run the ball real well. Big chunk plays, this and that. So I like this over pretty convincingly, 48 here. San Fran -3 on the over. Next, we got the Browns +3.5 going to Baltimore. Cleveland's been pretty underwhelming most of the year. They were lucky they barely beat the Tim Boyle Lions last week. That's concerning. Baltimore scraping out a win against the Bears. I'm assuming Lamar Jackson's back. He just had he had a flu or something last week, so should be back. I like the Ravens to cover here. The Browns just kind of look like a mess, honestly. Their defense is still hanging in tough most games, but they seem to struggle to move the ball, and Baker's stubbornly wanting to play injured and this and that. So I like the Ravens here, -3.5, just to kind of build off of last week's defensive performance, and then with Lamar Jackson back, they'll run their first team offense, and I think they'll cover that. The Browns just, I don't know. They're probably going to finish 9-8, 8-9 maybe, I don't know. And then under 46, I like here. Ravens like to string long drives together, run the clock. Browns offense just looks out of sorts, so it seemed like an easy pick, under 46. Low scoring game, divisional game, tough defensive battle. 46 under. So Ravens in the under in that game. Last but least, Seattle +1 going to Washington. I've touched on it, a lot. Seahawks just look like a mess on offense. Defense is playing well, but when they're on the field, 40 minutes of a 60-minute game, they tire out, and they're generally bend but don't break, but they get exhausted and they break. So Washington's look good. This is a tough spot for Seattle to go to want to get a bounce back win. Washington's been playing really well lately. They could still be the kind of team they've looked most of the year, which is like a mediocre team, but going to this year, there were high expectations for Washington, and maybe they're figuring things out now. Defense is playing a little bit closer to what we expected after a really good year last year for them, and they're figuring things out on offense. They're running the ball better now. That obviously makes things easier for the quarterback and Heineke, which you don't really know if he's your guy, but having a good run game helps him. Having a great receiver like McLaurin helps him. They get, I think, good production out of their tight ends. It's just, I can't in good conscience, without being a total homer, pick Seattle here. So, did it last week, I'll do it again. Washington -1, Monday Night Football. The whole world gets to watch our completely discombobulated offense. I mean, could Russell Wilson bounce back, have a virtuoso, performance like we're used to seeing out of him? Sure. But I just think in combination of him not being 100% healthy, rushed back an injury in half the time, clearly shouldn't have, just his ego got in the way, I think, wanted to prove he's this super healer, super tough guy, never missed a game, this and that, which is commendable, but it hurts the team. Geno Smith's not great, of course, but I believe he would at least given them a better shot last game. Well, last 2 games, really. So, yeah, I don't know. Until I see improvement, because it's just so bad right now, I can't in good conscience pick them. They're my team, but I can't pick them right now. They're 3-7. It would take a miracle winning out the rest of the year to maybe have a shot at the playoffs, but it's a tough spot to go here against a hot Washington football team. It's playing good defense now, and their strength is their pass rush, and Wilson has not shown me really overall in his career that he just doesn't read pass rush well, he's just not reading a defense well. And that could be part to do with play calling and coaching too. Schematically, this and that, he's not getting the right plays called for him, but he's also not seeing the field well too. So I don't know. This is going to be a bad game. I just feel like it's a lion's den to go into for Seattle. They play the Texans, they play the Lions coming up, which would have been better spots to bounce back, but going against the hot Washington team it's been playing better defense. It's a tough spot. So, yeah, take Washington and under 46.5. I feel like Seattle games have gone under. I honestly don't know the last time a Seahawks game went over. Like I've picked under on their games and been right every time. I feel like since I think the Pittsburgh game, the New Orleans game, Green Bay game, and Arizona game. That's 4 in a row I can think of that have gone under, and I've picked them all too. Yeah, I don't know. Rams maybe went over. I don't know. I think Rams probably went under 2. Maybe the Niners. I don't even know. It's just an obvious pick again. Like 46.5. Like what do the odds makers see in this game? Unless they really think Washington's just going to score a shit ton of points, or maybe their defense is going to fall apart. But if you've watched these 2 teams play, you see Washington playing better defense lately. And you'll see Seattle cannot score, but their defense is playing pretty well. So I don't know. It seems like this kind of, since I've lost the only 2 mortal lock of the weeks that I've made, I don't really want to make one, but fuck it. Lock of the week, under Seattle, Washington, no brainer. This game will be probably, I think it'll be the same score as the Arizona game, 23-13 Washington. Yeah, so those are my picks. Hopefully keep the ball rolling after a really good week last week. The best week I've had, I think, 22-8. But, in lieu of fairness, it was awful the prior 2 weeks. So hopefully you can keep the ball rolling. A lot of unders, more favorites than underdogs, but no huge spreads this week. I mean, biggest spread was 7.5. It's changed from a lot of the big ones the last few weeks. So yeah, I feel pretty good about it. Honestly, I feel pretty good. The only concern is because the unders have been so consistently hitting, this could be like the law of averages flipping over and it's going to be a points fest this week. But I don't know. I feel good about these picks, so see what happens. Happy Thanksgiving.